If I had my way, everything would be so nice. This world would be like Paris. No, it would be a paradise. No one would ever have to say, I'm gonna get my wish someday. All one would have to do is say, this is my order, if you may.
Welcome to another episode of The School Without Walls. I'm the host and founder of this educational program. And my guest today is a continuation with Mr. Lonza C. Hardy, the athletic director here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. And in our other episode, we were talking about the importance, Mr. Hardy, of us as a people doing more to help ourselves. And you were referring to leadership. It's definitely needed, but it doesn't have to be like the leader, right?
Right.
Everybody leads somebody, and you're saying within the home, if the home is a traditional home, it has a father and a mother. Of course, we don't have a lot of those today, but when you have a setting like that, who should be the leader, in your opinion?
In my opinion, if you don't have a father present in your home, or you don't have a mother, that there's a neighbor next door, or some close relative, or somebody who's one of your teachers,
right?
That you should look up to, and those people, more often than not, would be more than willing to give you a hand and to help lead you in the right direction. You
remind me of something. I'm going to add to that or augment that. Young people look for a leader, look for a mentor, right?
Yeah,
look for a mentor.
And if they don't find it usually in their households or in the neighborhoods, that's when they start looking to sports, people in the sports field, or entertainers,
or thugs. Yeah, because everybody needs a leader, am I right?
You're definitely right.
Everybody needs a leader. So what we want you to do, young people, if you don't have a father image at home, or uncle or grandfather, if you're a boy, you want a male mentor. Look at somebody that is, in your opinion, doing well, and then you ask, and you can ask them, would you help me understand? Be friendly toward those people, right?
Right.
That's what we're trying to get you to do, and that will help us to help you. But resent the one who is going to jail. But they follow those because that is a leader too, you know. They're pretty sharp, some of the street boys.
And I think currently, more so than any other time, for an African American male, you can look up to the highest, most powerful person in the human race, which is the President of the United States, who is an African American.
African American.
And you can look to the White House for a person who came from humble beginnings to become President of the most powerful country in the world, and emulate that person.
There you go. Set your goals real high. Okay, let's get back to your, in this segment we're going to try to complete your journey thus far. Now, we stopped with you in Mississippi, I believe.
Yeah, actually when I left Mississippi, I went to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to Southern University for 3 years.
And what did you do there?
I was sports information director.
Sport information, you're still in that field. Okay, what after that?
After Southern University for 3 years, then I journeyed up the interstate down to New Orleans, where I became director of publicity with the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And ultimately I became associate commissioner, where I primarily concentrated on media relations, not for one institution, but for all of the schools which were a part of the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
I see. Now, Southwest Athletic Conference would include how many states, do you know?
It would include the states of Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Alabama.
Okay, and you were over those 4 states, I think that's what I understand.
Yes.
That was quite a responsibility, was it not?
It was, but I figure the educational background that I had and the experiences that I had from working on a college campus and being under some great role models and leaders prepared me for that challenge.
Now, did you have persons working under you, or did you have to do all the work yourself?
I did, and when I was at the conference office, I had one gentleman who was my assistant. We had interns also that worked with us.
I see. Okay, the next employment?
And after working with the Southwestern Athletic Conference for 11 and a half years, then made a step up and I became an athletics director at Mississippi Valley State University.
Was that back to Mississippi Valley, or that was the first time being on that?
That was my first time.
But you had worked in Mississippi,
yes,
but not Mississippi Valley.
Right.
By the way, let me mention this. You know, I was an athlete in college. I played basketball primarily. I played football and basketball, but eventually they switched me to basketball, not basketball and football. I started off with the two. And I played in Mississippi Valley when it was in its infant stage.
Okay.
When you were there, I imagine it had quite a few buildings, didn't it?
Yes.
They had about 100 acres of property when I was playing, and we had about 3 or 4 buildings on that property. But now I haven't been out in a long time. When you left there was buildings all around, right?
Yeah. If you haven't been there in the last probably 15 years, you probably will not recognize campus.
Right, I have not. I haven't been there in, so long. I can say actually 50 years, because, you know, I was so it's changed completely. I wouldn't know it, would it?
Yeah, I don't believe you would.
It seemed like when I went there, it hadn't been in existence but a year or two. It's not a very old institution. All right, you worked there how long?
I was at Mississippi Valley for 6 years.
6 years?
Yes.
And then?
Then after Mississippi Valley, then I went back to the East Coast to Hampton, Virginia, where I worked as athletics director at Hampton University for 4 years.
I see. Did I mention whether you were married or not?
I'm single.
Are you married? You're a single man?
Yes.
Ladies, he's a single man. I imagine a lot of them are glad to hear that.
Yep.
Because I have overheard some talking with my wife and things. You know, do you know of any eligible men around this time? Okay, so much for that. So that we don't have a wife to talk about. Now, went back to the East Coast, and how long were you there?
I was at Hampton University for 4 years.
4 years, Hampton.
Yep.
Now, Hampton is one of the old what do you call it?
HBCUs.
HBCUs, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Hampton is one of the old ones, because I remember my English teacher in college. This is the first segment, I believe, and we're about to close out. And my English teacher was a graduate of Hampton University. That was a prestigious college, sure enough, 65, 70 years ago, wasn't it?
Even though then it was not known as a university, it was more famously known as Hampton Institute.
It sure was. That's what she graduated. But it was very popular.
Yes.
Well, we'll be back in just a few minutes for the segment 2.
Oh!
Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Those of you who have just joined us, I'm Antonio Hobbs, host of this educational program called The School Without Walls. My role model and guest today is Mr. Lonza C. Hardy, Jr., the Director of Athletics here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Before we go further, I'd like to invite you to St. John AME Church. You say you've attended there. I want you to meet this dynamic new pastor we have. His name is Reverend Alvin Smith. He is an Afrocentric thinking man. He's a community man, and he is dynamite. Okay. So if you can, come Sunday. This coming Sunday. If not, come when you can.
Okay.
Okay, now let's get back to telling your story. Were we in Virginia the last time?
Yes, at Hampton University.
Hampton University. It used to be called Hampton's Institute.
Right.
It's one of the early colleges, along with Howard.
Howard.
Yeah, Howard. You know of any others about that level?
Howard,
Hampton, what else?
Tuskegee.
Tuskegee.
Yes.
And Tuskegee is younger though, isn't it?
I believe, yes, matter of fact, Tuskegee's founder was educated
right,
at Hampton. Right.
So it was, yeah, those are some of the prestigious. And let's don't forget Meharry.
Yes.
Medical school. Those were the universities for black people 85 and 90 years ago, weren't they?
Yes.
Those were the schools.
Yep.
Once you went there, you got a stamp of approval anywhere in the world. Okay, what happened after you left Hampton?
After I left Hampton in the fall of 2011, I came to Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Arkansas Pine Bluff,
Yes.
2011. Okay. Now, what we want to do now, I think, yeah, we have this session and one more after this. If you want to, you can tell us what you found here and then what you have done since you've been here and what you plan to do. That's where we go on with this, okay? What you would like us to do to help you, whatever you can.
Okay. Of course, when I was recruited to come here, it was under the chancellorship of Chancellor Lawrence A. Davis Jr. I was here about 6 months when he announced his retirement, so I worked under him for 6 months, and I enjoyed the meetings with Chancellor Davis because he was like and still is a walking history book. He can tell you from when Martin Luther King spoke on campus, when his father was the chancellor, etc. And after he retired, then I worked for a year, of course, this past year under Chancellor Johnson, and now
as interim chancellor, right?
Yeah, right. And now, of course, we have a new chancellor, Chancellor Lawrence B. Alexander. And the great thing about Chancellor Alexander, I lived in New Orleans for 10.5 years. He grew up in New Orleans.
Sure
I have my college degree in journalism. He has a degree in journalism, so we have a lot of connections in that particular area.
You worked in Florida too, did you not?
Not in Florida, no.
Oh, he came from here.
He came from the University of Florida.
Okay, all right, but you both have the journalism major and background. Right. Okay.
And at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, which is enrollment-wise one of the smaller institutions in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, but it's one of the larger institutions in when you speak of the quality of education that we afford the people and the students that attend the university. We do a great job here at the university with our student athletes. As a matter of fact, we don't call the students in our athletics program athletes. Athletes to us are individuals that are playing in the National Football League and the NBA.
Professionals, right?
For us, they are student athletes with emphasis on student. And the student athletes in our program are doing an excellent job of earning degrees in the spring semester. At the spring commencement exercises, we had 32 student athletes to graduate. 16 of those graduated with honors.
That's
amazing. So we are proud of that. When you talk about mentors and role models, those are the people that are going to be our future mentors and role models. Those student athletes that are graduating, getting their degrees, graduating with honors. That's something you can't ever take away from them. 12 of our student athletes in the spring semester were inducted into the National College Athlete Honor Society, which means that they had grade point averages ranging from 3.4 to 3.8. So we're real proud of the academic accomplishments of our student athletes, just as we are proud of the athletic accomplishments. We're happy that a football team this past December won for the first time an outright Southwestern Athletic Conference championship, and they will forever be champions of the Southwestern Athletic Conference until some team dethrones us. But until that happens, we are the defending champions of our conference.
I see. Now, do you have any idea of how many players you lost? We have 2 minutes in this. How many did you graduated? How many football players graduated?
Football players in the 32 student graduating class that we have, I think we may have had about 7 football players that were included.
So you have a pretty good group that's coming back.
Yes.
So that gives you a better chance of repeating. I understand that I don't believe that has ever happened before in the SWAC, has it?
It has happened.
Yeah, one time, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, several teams, of course, Grambling during the days of Eddie Robinson, they consistently won back-to-back championships. You had a few other teams as well, but we're looking to be the latest team to win back-to-back championships.
I certainly hope we're successful with that. I remember the days of Eddie Roberts. He was some coach, wasn't
he? He was a great coach who always carried the banner of the United States. He always preached how proud he was to be an American, and how he always looked upon coaching profession as being one of the noblest professions in America.
Is he still living?
Unfortunately, he passed a few years ago.
Do you have any general idea of his age?
When Eddie Robinson passed, he was in his mid-80s, I believe.
Mid-80s. He was quite a human being. Yes, we're going to stop on that note. We'll be back with the final segment in a few minutes.
So I've come up with the family emergency plan.
Great. What is it?
It's difficult to talk about, so I'm not telling you.
How will we know what to do?
You won't.
I'm so glad I won't have to remember anything.
And me too. Thanks for this, sweetie.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Those of you who have just joined us, I'm Antonio Hobbs, host and founder of this educational program called The School Without Walls. My guest is Mr. Lonza C. Hardy, Jr., a single man. He is the Director of Athletics here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. And on the other side of the break, we were still talking about your involvement here in the university. What projections do you have for us here in the university, and what can we do to help you fulfill this? Because it takes all of us working together, doesn't it?
It definitely does. As they say, as they say, it takes a village.
It takes a village.
And it definitely does take a village. When you talk about, first of all, college athletics plays an integral role in the overall atmosphere of a college campus. Of course, academics is number one, but if college athletics is operated in the correct way, it's kind of like a motivating thing to keep the campus.
Magnet.
Yes, to keep the campus vibrant, the students involved and enthusiastic, given an opportunity for the local community to come on campus for games, and when they come on campus for games, then they are exposed to the academic setting of a college campus. If it were not for a college football game or baseball game, volleyball match, or basketball game, in a lot of instances, the young people in the community would not see a college campus before they become college students. But by coming on campus for those events, they get exposed to the college lifestyle.
Definitely.
And seeing a successful team out on the field, in a lot of instances, that leaves an impression on the young kids to want to feel those students, be in those students' footsteps. We talk about role models. A lot of times you hear athletes say, "I'm not a role model." They are role models, because you have somebody looking up to you and wanting
they are
to be
role models, whether they want to be or not. They are role models.
And then it's incumbent upon them, because they are role models, to make sure they are positive role models for the young kids. And I think our student athletes here at our university realize that, and I think they're doing a good job. One of the things I'm proud when we speak of our student athletes at UAPB, they do an excellent job of going out into the local community with mentoring programs. We have student athletes in our program who go into the middle schools. They have reading programs for the kids, sports activities for the kids, etc. Our coaches are doing a great job during the holiday season. You see them at Walmart and at JCPenney and at the mall ringing bells with the Salvation Army. Our staff and our student athletes go out into the local community with the rest homes and assisted living facilities, helping to keep the elderly inspired.
Is that right?
We are part of the local community, and we want the local community to know that we are a vibrant part of the community, and we want to reach out to the young people all the way up to the elderly people as well.
That's excellent. I wasn't aware of all of that, and I'm sure the community can appreciate you, the athletic department, and all by hearing this. I was thinking of Coach Dennis Winston. He is not with us. Where is he now?
He's now at Grambling.
He's at Grambling.
Yes.
Now, I just learned recently, was he with us last season when you won?
Yes.
He was with you during that championship, and now he's at Grambling. What, was he line coach like he was here?
He's actually, for him it was a step up. He's now defensive coordinator at Grambling.
That was a step up. That's wonderful. I mentioned him because, see, I coached Dennis when he was a child.
Okay.
We were from the same hometown, same school, and all those kinds of things. He was quite an athlete. He's always been quite an athlete all his life. Yeah. He was so much larger than most boys. Yeah. When he was in junior college, high school, Dennis weighed about 200 pounds. He's in junior now. And he's playing with guys that weigh 145. The big one, 150, and he's weighing about 200 pounds. Rough boy. I was glad he was successful. Now back to, we should have about 4 more minutes. What are some of your Do you have any plans for the future?
Well, a couple of things. One of the main things that we have been working with one of the local business executives here in the community. In the last mayoral election here in the city of Pine Bluff, the community was fragmented. There had so many people going at each other, different races of people going at each other, people within the race going at each other. So we created this idea that we're calling the Diversity Project, where we're actually going out meeting with different businesses, trying to let the UAPB athletics program serve as a magnet for bringing those individuals together. We are encouraging local businesses to buy blocks of tickets for our football games and to give to the diversified employees that they have on their campus, whether it's whites, blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, Arabs, whomever. We want to see those people come together, sit together, cheer together for our local college team, the UAPB Golden Lions, and project to the world that this community is a united community.
We have 2 more minutes. I believe this is the final segment, is it, Randy? You know, the athletics has brought races together more so than I think anything else. It's a fellowship that looked like has been a leader throughout the history of humanity, athletics. That's a wonderful idea.
All you have to do is look at that composition of many of our athletics teams. Look at our baseball team, look at our soccer team, our tennis team, and you'll see great diversity.
Right, and you see harmony among the group.
Yes.
Let's say this, we got about a minute. How many pros have we had since you've been here? How many boys have gone pro?
With the major professional teams, and I think it was one of the key reasons why we won a football championship last year. We have 2 gentlemen who will be playing in the National Football League from last year's team.
From last year's team.
One gentleman down with the New Orleans Saints and one with the Atlanta Falcons.
Do you know their names?
Teron Armstead with the New Orleans Saints and Brandon Thurman with the Atlanta Falcons. So when you turn on your television sets on Sunday afternoons, you will see UAPB when they identify those young men and what they went to school.
Well, that's wonderful. That should be a drawing card also for other athletes coming here rather than elsewhere. The young man, Huckabee, wasn't he an athlete that was killed or died? Am I correct?
Hotspur.
What's his name?
Lydell Hotspur from
the
city of. He was actually, yes, he was a kid that was walking onto our team late in the season last year. He's from New Orleans, Louisiana. He was not a scholarship kid, but he wanted to matriculate here and he wanted to walk on for the football team. I think he had indicated to Coach Coleman, because of his family situation, that he was not going to enroll back in school.
He was not coming
this
back.
School year, but unfortunately, he still was a kid that had a lot of hopes for the future. Unfortunately, and it's one thing that we got to educate our young people on. He and one of his cousins, I think his cousin was playing around with a gun that was within, I believe, in his mother's car.
It was accidental. He was accidentally killed.
And the gun accidentally discharged and wounded. It was a fatal wound to the young man.
I saw a picture of a young African American, I believe it was a student there called Huckabee. Do you know of any Huckabees that went to school there? I saw it in the obituary.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Huckabee.
Randy, do you know anything about the Huckabee? All right, well, thank you for being here.
Okay.
We got to conclude on this one.
Okay.
All right, thanks again.